Good evening, everyone.
Hi,
So,
all.
look who's with us. We have Steve. Steve is with us, Sergeant Hood, and Father Fox from Son of a Critch. Am I saying
Right.
that right? Is it Critch or Critch? Is it? Is that like
Son of a
Stitch,
critch.
Critch?
Yeah.
Yes.
Critch.
How are
Yeah.
you? Are you okay?
I'm awesome. Awesome.
And you're
How
all
you
the
guys
way.
doing?
Are you in St. We're good. Are you in St. John's? Is that where you're coming from?
St. John's, Newfoundland. Yeah.
And what time is it by you?
It is 9:34.
Oh, so
We have
you're
our own zone here in the North Atlantic. Far
I
behind.
know it's an hour and a half, I think.
Yeah.
Something on. Yeah, yeah.
But,
I didn't
We
know there was such a change.
yes.
On the odd hour,
Yeah.
odd half hour. Huh.
I actually learned that from Stephanie
yeah,
Beaumont.
it's a
She
half
was
hour.
explaining it to me. Yeah. Yeah. So
Right.
Stephanie was our guest and she filled us in on so many wonderful things. I had to have her on because she always was behind the scenes and interviewing the cast and talking to you, Alan, everyone. So she came on and we didn't have to do anything. We sat back and she took over. It was fabulous. It was so good. We're big fans. So I discovered
Oh,
Republic of on Acorn. Acorn TV is an app. And I was like, what is this? And then, of course, I researched it. And then I saw Alan saying, I know we're tired after the sixth season, but we're going to make the movies. He said movies. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to campaign. I'm going to hold him to, I'm going to find all these new people that want to watch it. So I've been campaigning all over social media. And then Kathy is my partner here. And I said,
Roxanne was my gateway drug to Republic of Doyle.
yes.
She told me for months, you got to check out this program. And I was like, yeah, I'll get to it. And one day I was sitting here looking for something to watch. I turned on season 1, episode 1. And by 45 minutes in, Roxanne is texting me, and I'm like, "Don't bother me now. I'm doing a marathon of Republic of Doyle, and I have not looked back. It's what I fall asleep to, and what I wake up to. I watch it. It's just one of the best things I've ever seen."
I know. And then
oh,
Kathy
it's
said,
so
I said, we're going to start reaching out to all the, whoever's involved. And I read Perry's book. So I sent him a message and I was reaching out to different people. And Kathy's like, can we have Sergeant Hood on? And I'm like, I don't know. You have no social media presence. I'm like, let me dig him up. Let's see what I can find.
I love Sergeant Hood. The whole character was just so quirky and oh well, we'll get to that. But we wanted to learn more about you, Steve McConnell, first.
Yeah.
Starting with, how did you even end up in
right.
this business?
I guess around the early 80s, the church I went to, the minister was a graduate of the National Theatre School in Montreal. So every Sunday in that time with the children before they go off to Sunday school, we do skits or plays or little reenactments or something like that. And at the same time at the school I was going to, IJ Sam's, there was a teacher there who produced a musical every spring. So the two of those women, I guess around 1981, 82, just got a hold of me and shaped the rest of my life, I guess.
Oh, wow. Really? Oh,
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
sweet. You see them?
One
Are you?
one of them taught me the joy of it, and the other one taught me the dedication of it, like the
Oh,
the commitment of it.
that's like a wonderful tribute. That's nice. Do you
Uh,
get to see them? Are they still like, do you live nearby or?
no, the minister, she moved to Ontario. Oh, not much. I guess in the early '90s, and I've seen her once or twice since then. And our music teacher from the high school or the junior high school, she passed last year.
Oh, but
And she hadn't
still,
been living here in years either. She had been gone to Ontario for maybe the last 2 or 3 decades as well.
but it must be fun to see. I'm a teacher, and some of my students, like I have one who went on, well, two that went on for football here in the
Mhm.
States, won the Super Bowl this past year. And he wasn't, I know. And he had just come to the school and surprised us. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And they asked me to make a wish list for stuff, and I had made a wish list. I know I'm talking about myself here. Anyway, my point is he came and he bought everything that was on the wish list. And I'm like, oh my God, it's you. You're here. And he did a little assembly. And then he goes on to win the Super Bowl this past year, which is amazing. So as I'm just saying, those beautiful words that you just said, I mean, if you have said them before and they heard it, that just made their day. That's so nice to know that you don't know what you do and how it can lead
No,
to something amazing in someone's life. Oh, I love that story. Oh,
So you do musicals?
no. I was 14 at the time, and opening night, she came to me and said, "Something's going on here. Keep on going, keep singing, keep singing." And then she zeroed in on me and she said, "Steve, I think you're a pretty good actor, but you cannot sing and you are really, really loud.
Oh
You're
my
going to
word.
have to lip sync." Broke my little heart.
oh, oh.
It was too
Okay,
late to
so
try to get her. It's too late for her to try to get me to learn how to sing at that point because the show was opening that night.
Oh my word.
it's
That is too funny.
it's a good story. Okay, so
I've
there you go.
directed a few of them. I directed a few of them. I directed Grease one time, a 24-hour production of Grease. You kind of you get together on a Friday night, you pick the cast, you rehearse all night, and then the next evening you put on a show. And I got a chance to one time to direct Grease with Alan Doyle, and you know who he is.
Of course I do. Of
And
Yeah.
he played the John Travolta part, and he was magnificent.
Oh my
course.
gosh. A pop-up Grease production. I love it.
Now,
Oh, they're fantastic. You just spend 24 hours working on them, and it's all usually musicals that you knew as a kid, like The Lion King or The Little Mermaid or Grease or oh my God, what's the one with Dorothy, The Wizard of Oz, something like that.
So, Steve, is it that there's just a very small concentrated cadre of actors in St. John's, or do you all you formed your own kind of little repertory company because you all act with each other in different programs?
Yeah, like there's only really like 5 or 6 high schools around. So the chances are you've probably gone through school right up to grade 12 with some of the people you end up being colleagues with
oh,
and working with. So there are people that I worked with in high school that I still work with today. And it's a very small kind of group of people here, and it just turns out that way. And I think when we were in university, I met a lot of the people 35 years ago now that they're my best friends. I hang out with them all the time, and we work together all the time.
that's actually cool because I see as I watch and I look at the credits from the different projects that you all do, I'll see the same names appearing,
Yeah.
and I'm like, look at them. And
Yeah,
then on
cool.
some pieces of social media or in interviews, you'll see that you're together. And I'm like, look at that wonderful group that doesn't forget about each other and you keep each other, together and in
Yeah.
parts. And I think that's really nice. Um, before I
In a
forget,
Roxanne,
okay, yes,
in a lot of places, there's a tremendous amount of competition, like among actors. But
yes,
I don't find it here so much because
nice.
while we all know each other, we're not all suited for the same roles. So when I go to auditions, it's the same 2 or 3 people that I'm only really kind of reading against. And sometimes I get it and sometimes they get it. And we're all when we get to work.
Oh, that's different. That's a whole different attitude that we're kind of used to, right, Kathy? We're used to like
Absolutely.
major
Dog eat dog world. Yeah.
No, it's not like
competition.
that here.
That's nice. I love that. See, Kathy wants to go visit and then she wants to go live in St. John and she
I
keeps, we're
know.
going to retire there. And I'm like, okay, all righty. I wanted to share before we moved on. It was funny. There's someone who's here. Her name is Lois. And she said, I thought everyone in I'm learning how to say it correctly.
Newfoundland. I understand
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland.
That's
So
right.
I thought everyone in Newfoundland was musical. That's what she said. It passed you though.
No, I'm a single threat.
Aw.
I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't play a musical instrument.
You can direct.
I can direct and I can act, I think.
Okay. Well, that's a double. That's
Yeah.
not a single.
Have you had any interest in writing?
I've written a couple of things over the years, but nothing that has come out of me. It's more like a town wants to do a kind of celebration about one of their founding kind of citizens. So I'll go do the research and write a monologue or a little kind of two-handed play about it. But it's all been from somebody else's kind of they need something about Johnny Burke, who wrote a whole bunch of Newfoundland songs. I do the research, I find costumes, and I go play Johnny Burke.
Okay.
But nothing that I have kind of gotten in my own head and kind of created myself. Not writing, no.
Well,
Oh.
see, acting, directing, writing, you've only been on our podcast a few minutes and you're already a triple threat now. You've moved up 2 notches.
Yeah, that's what, wait a minute. Someone's saying that here. Who just said that? I think it was Jan. She says, how about
Oh, yeah.
writing a triple threat?
A little bit of writing, but again, it's not my stuff. But I am a teacher too, Roxanne.
You are. What do you
Yeah,
teach?
everybody in Newfoundland has 7 jobs.
Wow. What do you teach?
I've stayed a substitute teacher for about 27 years now, and it's given me the opportunity to maybe go into the classroom 60, 70, 80 days a year, but still have the flexibility to go and work on TV or film or my first love, theater. So it's that's been a fantastic second or third job is getting out in the schools and being with kids and stuff.
I love it. It's like my favorite. It's important to me. It's like what I was meant to do. But
What do
I
you
also
teach?
I teach 5th grade. I can teach kindergarten all the way up to 8th grade. In certain subjects I can teach for high school, or I
Right.
don't know what the equivalent, if that's secondary school. I don't know how you would say it.
Yeah, secondary school here.
Yeah. And like 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. But I teach language arts, like English language arts, writing, and I teach social studies. But
Oh, right on.
yeah, but I used to teach math. I used to teach all the subjects, but we're departmentalized for like 15 years now. And I write the curriculum. And I don't know, I just enjoy it. But I love talking to people. So that was like, I've gotta spread my wings a little here. So this is like so much fun for us.
It is.
Yeah. And then I try very hard not to be like a teacher when I'm on the podcast.
It doesn't always work.
It doesn't.
He tries.
And then I apologize, especially if people are asking and saying stuff in the comments and then they get a little like, testy with each other. Then I'm like almost saying boys and girls, but that's not important. So, Steve, when you are teaching, I'm interested in knowing what is your favorite age group? Or do you like
my absolute favorite thing to do is to teach Macbeth. That's my absolute favorite thing to do, and that would be like grade 12 high school.
Yes.
I've played Macbeth a couple of times. I've directed it. I've been Banquo. I've been Macduff. So I really freak them out when I can just kind of walk away from the front of the class and just keep on going with the words. They're like, "What is going on with this guy? This is crazy." But this past year, they got into a new system here where it's not administrators calling. It's this computer.
Oh, I know.
So,
same with us.
and I don't mind it. I don't mind it. It's gotten me out of like for 20 something years, I was only going to 1 or 2 schools. And last year, I think I was into 20 different schools.
Oh,
All the way from I think grade 5 up to high school. And I had a blast with grade 5s and grade 6s. was something that I'd never done before in the 26 years I've been teaching, and it was a hoot.
They're my favorite people. I mean, I've done kindergarten. They're my second favorite, but they're my
Right.
favorite people.
They,
Jan's asking a question. She says, "Okay, here comes the big question. Is there an age group that you prefer?" And you just told us, so you just shared with us that, which is good. All right. So now you have 7 jobs. Go ahead, Kathy. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, have you done any work in the States, Steve?
I did one afternoon, and this is a crazy story. Right before Doyle started, I had a job, like I told you, like these historical societies ask people from time to time to do the research and stuff. And we were doing a whole year-long project on Captain Bob Bartlett. And he was from Newfoundland, from Brigus. And he was the ice captain who got Robert Peary to the North Pole, if he did.
Right.
And he was quite famous in his own right, Captain Bob Bartlett. And his ship, the Morrissey, it had been kind of sold out of his after he died. Somebody in the States bought it, and it is now stationed in New Bedford, Massachusetts, and it's renamed the Ernestina. And the summer before we were going to do a great big thing with Bowdoin College, they were going to send another boat up that was kind of like the same thing, and they were going to do like a round the province tour with this ice schooner. The director of that project was supposed to go to New Bedford for the return of the Ernestina after it had gotten fixed up in some shipyard. But the day, I think it was a week before she was supposed to go, she realized her passport was expired.
Oh no.
And she was like, "Oh my God, I can't go. Steve, can you write something and go down and be Bob Bartlett and welcome his schooner back into New Bedford?" So I flew down to Boston and rented a car and tried to drive out of Boston to New Bedford, and that was something.
I was going to say Boston is not the place to drive around in. That's like, it's horrible, but
But neither is St. John's.
Okay, that's
St.
true.
John's is a hard place to get around because it's a 500-year-old city, and there are places where there's a church and it's just surrounded by a road. Like there's a road all the way around the church. Like there's no parking lot. It's just in the middle of an intersection.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there are some places like that in also in Boston, and it gets so narrow that to walk down it is like amazing. You look up and you see, because it's very old too in American history. Right. Cool. This is cool. So let's talk about Son of a Critch. Right? You saying it right? Critch,
yeah.
How many seasons are they now in Canada? Are they into, which season is it?
They're shooting season 3 right now.
Okay. So we on the CW in the States this summer just got season 1. And we on Monday nights it comes on, and we just had the 4th episode. So you are
Cello, I Must Be Going.
Pardon me?
Cello, I Must Be Going, the one where
No, not yet. It was the cucumber one. The slumber.
Oh,
cucumber.
okay.
Yeah. So your father Fox, right?
Fox's dad, yeah.
Yes. And you're not nice. That we only saw you 1 episode so far, and you weren't nice.
No, it was not nice.
Which explains a lot. The girl's amazing.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
The cast is amazing. It's amazing. I said the cast is amazing.
They are. They're amazing.
It took me almost a full day to get past the first 10 minutes of the first episode.
But why?
Because that was Malcolm McDowell from A Clockwork Orange. And the little boy is like, you wake up with an octogenarian mooning you. And I thought I was going to die. It just cracked me up. And then the little bullied kid. And he's like, no, that's not my father. And then he announces, yeah, my son is getting on the school bus for the first time. It's just brilliant writing.
So it's on the memoirs of Mark, right?
It's
Isn't it?
from the memoirs of Mark. Yeah, like he grew up living way out. It's basically like a highway in St. John's. He lived at basically the radio studio with his family,
Yes.
and I remember picking him up there one night, and I didn't know where he lived. I was with somebody who knew, and we drove out, and it's like he lives out here, and we're trying to stop in the middle of like a 5-lane road, and he's like trying to get through the cars running across the street to jump in as we're on the shoulder of the road, and then took off. So the bus would have to go all the way out to pick up one kid, and everybody else was already on it by this point, to take them back to school.
That's nice.
I didn't go to school with him. He's a few years younger, but I met Mark in 1992. We were doing Romeo and Juliet, and he was playing Romeo.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was playing Romeo, and that's when I met him. I guess 31 years ago.
Wow.
And is Perry involved? Perry's involved in this series, isn't he?
I believe he is to some extent. I'm not quite sure on how all that works, because Alan and Perry and I think John Vatcher and Rob Black, they started this thing called Take the Shot.
Yes.
To do Doyle.
Yes.
And I think Take the Shot has some things to do with some.
Yeah,
but I don't think that means that all those four are around all the time.
Producers.
What?
I thought I saw them listed as executive producers.
Yeah, he is. He's on there as, I think, executive producer. So that's why I love it. I love watching, and I see, oh, look, all these faces and people. There they are all again. The series is great. Do we get, I don't know if you're allowed to tell us this or not. So we haven't gotten it, and we only have the 4 episodes in the States, but they're working on the 3rd season in Canada. Do we get to see more of you? I know we see more of you in season 1. Do we get to see more of you in 2?
There's quite a bit in 2.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I think it's 3 episodes in 2. Not sure about this year yet, though.
Okay. All right. All right. You can't spoil. I know you can't spoil. Now, is it filmed in St. John's?
It's filmed in St. John's and the surrounding area. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's like dream job. You get to do what you love and do it in your own hometown.
Oh, absolutely.
Wonderful.
I see Lois has asked, did I ever get to drive the GTO? This is a funny story.
All right, let's hear
it. I was supposed to drive it when it was being impounded, and I got in it, and somebody asked me if I drove a stick. Because after it got blown up, sorry for people who...
It's all right.
We've all seen it multiple times.
Haven't that.
Not everyone, but that's okay. Go ahead.
One of them had a stick, and they asked me, could I drive a stick? And I said, sure. I've been driving a stick for 20 or 30 years. And Helen Slater was directing that episode.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you're familiar with her. She played like Supergirl, Superwoman, something like that back in the 80s. She was directing the episode, and they called action. And I took the foot off the clutch and put the gas down, and it went backwards.
Oh.
Because I didn't check and see. I guess at that point I'd only owned one standard car, and first gear was always in the same place. But now there's sometimes the first gear that's up and to the left. In all of mine, reverse gear was down and to the right. So anyway, when I went backwards like 5 or 6 feet and then slammed on the brakes, they called cut and they said, "Get out of the car, O'Connell." Because no, I know how to do this. I just didn't know that. Okay, no, it's over.
Oh,
one shot.
Who got to keep the cars?
I have no idea where the cars are. Not one. The only thing I kept, I got a lot of the wardrobe afterwards, a lot of his suits, but I don't wear them very often. But I went into the studio as it was closing down, and I went into the office and I stole the little thing off my desk, Sergeant Daniel Hood. So I did keep that.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, we're like, I'm telling you, I want the movies. He promised movies, and it's been way too long, so he has to make movies.
I know.
I want
I
them.
know.
We want the movies. We need them. We need them.
I would love to do them. Here's what happens in Newfoundland. Whenever you do a theater show here, it only lasts. Sometimes it'll last like for 10 shows, but it usually is just Wednesday to Sunday. And it's a lot of work to do for like 4 nights. And the shows that you really loved, as we're tearing down the sets, we always say, keep those because we're going to do a remount. Next year or the year after, we're all going to get together again, put this back together, and do it again. And nearly every show that we've enjoyed, we've always said we're doing a remount. And I wonder if that was what they were saying, is that this was such a great experience that we're going to do movies. Of course, we're going to do movies. But at this point, I don't know who would be in them. Mark has moved away. Kristen is away. Linda's away. Sean's away. And you wouldn't want it done where you're only talking to missing characters like over the phone. Oh yeah, Malachi and Rose are not going to get back from their trip to Hawaii. I mean, that kind of thing would be a shame.
There will be a way. I'm convinced of it. I don't know how, but there will be a way.
Back and you make the movie. It's a movie. A movie.
Roxanne, can I ask some questions now?
No, you're not allowed to. Yes, of course.
She told me, she said, no, you can't. We need to cover this distance before.
No, I have rules.
I knew you were coming on, Steve. So here's my first question.
Wait. Margie says, hold on. Would you like to do more Republic of Doyle, either as a series or a movie? That's what you were just talking about. So I wanted to share Margie's.
Absolutely. Everyone I know, if somebody said, what would you do if you win the lottery? The first thing they'll say is, I'd retire and go traveling. If I won the lottery, I just make theater and be in shows as much as I can. I love it. I don't even consider it work. So yeah, I totally would love to do some. And I think I loved everything I did in the series. I just thought that there should have been that one episode where me and Alan are locked in some kind of thing and we just have to figure something out together.
Oh, that's one of my questions.
Yeah, that would have been like,
was so, I loved it.
Yeah, because we were at each other's throats a lot. What are you doing, Newfoundland?
We could see the affection grow as the seasons went on.
Yeah.
So I have a question. How did you make the transition from Anonymous Hood in the pilot to a recurring character in the series? How did that come about?
That I have no idea exactly, other than me and Alan had been pretty good. We did those Macbeth productions together back in 1996, and then he went away to National Theater School, and he came back with this idea of a detective show in St. John's, kind of like the Rockford Files.
Mm-hmm.
And when he moved back from Toronto, he moved next door to me. He was my neighbor. And he was like, O'Connell, we're going to get you in that show. And that was the same time that I was doing that Bob Bartlett stuff. So for almost the entirety of the summer while they were shooting, I was gone away. I was traveling around Newfoundland with this schooner, having a great time. And I had a couple of auditions, and it was like for this these anonymous kind of crooks and stuff like that. And I was like, my heart's not really in that. That might be a day's work. And I remember one November night, I got a call from the casting, and they said, Alan wants you to come in on Monday to play Cop 1. And I'm like, oh, Cop 1. That's going to be one episode and finished. And then the casting director said, now, don't tell anybody this, but we think that Cop 1 is going to end up being Leslie's new partner. And then I got really excited because me and Kristen had done Shakespeare by the Sea a number of years earlier, Midsummer Night's Dream, and she had gone away in the meantime to National Theater School as well. So when she came back, I was really excited to work with her. And the first day was crazy. I usually know all my lines. I usually know what I'm going to do, but I had no idea how a TV show worked. It's like basically they just kind of show you where you want to stand. You say it a couple more times, and then they go on to something else. And I was like, it moves this fast. There's no chance to kind of rehearse. There's none of that. That doesn't exist in that kind of place. So that first day, Linda and Kristen and oh my gosh, Wilson, the one who played the ex-wife, Rachel Wilson. Yeah. They kind of protected me. They kind of said, this is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to roll out. It does move this fast. And I got a chance to see how they were working their scene before I had to do mine. And it was like, okay, all right. Now I kind of have an idea how that's going to go. Yeah.
And then you got to stay, and then you were
Sergeant. And then I got to stay.
Yeah.
And then another interesting story is that the last episode of season 1, it was supposed to be a completely different thing. This is when the brother comes back, Christian. And I don't even think I was supposed to be in that episode. But Sean McGinley had gotten sick, and they rewrote the episode.
That's when they were traveling. He and Rose were traveling, or
I don't remember.
No, it wasn't traveling. I think
Sean had gotten sick, and Alan and John just rewrote the episode overnight, and then they came up with that whole angle of this Hood character, bringing Kristen through the crime scene, and then that whole thing at the end when he got the pill bottle, and he might be a shady character. Oh, this is interesting. That first day, Alan came up to me and he said, "Oh, Colin, you're not going to be cop 1. So what was your mother's maiden name?" And I said, Hood. He goes, "I like that." And he goes, "What was your father's name?" And my middle name is Daniel. My father's name is Daniel. His father's name is Daniel. And my mother's father's name is Daniel. Both my grandfathers were Daniels. And my grandfather on my mother's side was Daniel Hood.
Wow.
So that's where the name. That's
cool. I love that. I remember when we first get to meet. I think the brother. I think that they never say where the father was. Like he was away or something. They kept saying it was like a secret. And then of course they bring him back. And then I love the pill bottle scene that you're in, because you kind of, this is when you start, the character starts always giving advice, whether people want it or not.
Yeah.
And in the book, we have the book here that Carrie did. She wrote. So we have this part where it says friends and foes. I'm not going to read all of it because I want, people. Well, what happened was there was a limited supply that you could get. And we had people buying it recently and it sold out. So you can't get it off of Amazon anymore. So they had to be inventive and go other places. And they were posting it whenever we would have these chats. But you're under there. And it says Sergeant Hood, Leslie's partner, pain in Jake's ass, and target for Jake's snarky remarks, also known as Cue Ball and Bald Eagle. One never quite knows what Hood is up to or what angle he's playing, not even Leslie. And then it says you have a constant unasked or a source of advice.
Yeah.
And I remember only one time, because I was not familiar with it, they had your character eating an apple flip. That's what it's called. And someone in an interview asked you about apple flips, and you're like, I don't like them because I don't like boiled fruit. That's what you said in the interview.
I don't. My gosh, you've done your homework.
Oh.
Yeah. I remember showing up and they said, here's the apple flip. He goes, "Oh, great."
I know. And like, what did you have to do? Like, isn't there like a bucket you could spit it in? Like, or it didn't take that many takes?
It turned out that I had never really had an apple flip before, and it was fine.
Okay. All right.
What's with there was a throwaway line in season 2, season 2, 10th episode. Not that you keep track of those, but where you come in with Kristen and you announce to the Duke of Duckworth, and you announce to all the patrons, I'm getting married and I want this one to sing at my wedding.
That was the first episode I was in.
Was that really? Because I'm like, I want to know what the story is. They just like, I'm getting married. And then we didn't hear any more about it. And then, was it in the book, Roxanne, where it said your character has been married 4 times? Did you create any backstory for your character or
not really? It's dangerous to create too much backstory because they write it as you go.
Okay.
I remember in season 4 or something, I can only imagine Kristen open up the script and go, I was married. My husband disappeared undercover. I mean, that she's been playing the character for 4 years, and then she gets this big, huge, life-changing information. So coming up with backstory is sometimes limiting and dangerous. I just kind of roll with it. I didn't even look at any of the other scenes in the script. Part of it was laziness, I think, but part of it was also like, I'm the cop. I'm not supposed to know stuff. And it's easier to go in the scenes and play it if I don't know what the answers are.
Oh, that's a good thing.
I actually created some backstory for Hood, and I'm convinced that those 4 marriages were all to the same woman. That Hood just kept marrying and getting divorced, and then they try it again. That's my vision for Hood.
Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor, hey?
There you go.
Yeah. I know she already told me that. I'm like, I can see that. I think that's cute. And for those, I'm not going to say who, because not everybody is to the end yet. There is a wedding in the end. We won't say who's getting married. And you're there. We know it's not you. You're sitting down and there's a woman sitting next to you. And I always think, is that supposed to be his wife? Like they didn't say, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you don't know.
No, we shot one scene, I think in season 3 that never went in. And it's me and Kristen having a racket, and she's asking me what's wrong with me. And I was like, I'm getting divorced again.
Oh, I would have loved
So in season 1, I was getting married again. And in season 3, I was getting divorced again. But I don't think that ever kind of that came out any other way. But I do remember we got the scripts for the last episode. Me and Sean Panting, the lawyer, Walter McLean, and me and Sean both called each other and said, "We're not in the final episode. We haven't been asked to be in the final episode." We both kind of begged to be in it.
Oh, I would have been disappointed if you weren't.
Absolutely.
They were crucial. Do you have any favorite episodes, Steve? That
oh my gosh. I really loved the second episode I was in first year, when he was like, is this a shady cop? Like, it's favor among friends and in the pocket. Yes, no spoilers. There was a couple of episodes. It's hard to talk about the people who still haven't watched.
It doesn't
Love
matter.
Walter's character. I see.
That's okay. Don't worry about that. I'm going to highlight. Yeah, I'll highlight some of the things that they're saying, but don't worry if you're afraid of spoilers. It's okay. Most of us here we're just dissecting season 2, because we're taking our time and we're savoring it. But most of us are on our 3rd or 4th round of watching the entire series. Yeah. I don't know anybody, even my father. I'm like, Dad, I have a series for you. He's like, okay. So when I pick him up for dinner, he's like, I just watched the last episode, but I have to tell you, I already started back on 1 again, because I have to like watch and listen to all the parts and pieces. So it's okay. There's no spoilers.
I I
Go
think I
ahead.
really liked there was the episodes around when Leslie went undercover.
Yes.
Yeah,
Those
you
were a
got
lot of
more to
fun.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are good.
Yeah.
And that's when you and Jake come, well, your characters come together to help each other out. You're like,
Yeah.
I remember they're walking in the street, they just come from drinking, and your character pulls over Jake and says, we can't find Leslie, like, and that's when
Yeah.
they go out
Yeah.
to,
Yeah. That was a special night. That was a special night. I remember how that all went, and we were all really happy with it. Yeah.
Right. So, I wanted to show you something, because real quick, I was just thinking about this, because I think, what is the picture of? Hold on. Here we are. This is Linda on social media where you had lunch or dinner or something together.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you saw it, because I don't think you have an Instagram account, do you?
I'm wearing the same shirt. I'm wearing
I
the
thought you,
same shirt.
I thought you took home
That's
wardrobe.
crazy.
Steve, you gotta
This was recent. You were together recently, and she wrote something really nice. She said something like, it was so good catching up with you, and she then you had the picture, and I loved it. And then I wrote in there a comment, and I said, oh, I hope in between bites that you were talking about the movie that they're going to make, and you're all going to be reunited. And she liked it.
Well, what that is, I don't know if you're sure on that. The picture on the camera on the phone, that is the Fox family from Son of a Critch.
Right. We didn't get that far. So I recognize some things. I didn't say anything to anyone because, again, we're only in season 1. So
right. That's
we
the
didn't
family
get to
from Son of a Critch. And we were talking over lunch how great it would be if she was if she was related to us, like she was
like your
my
sister.
sister or
Yeah.
or Nicole Underhays, my ex-wife in the show. And I was like, let's make that happen. So we took that picture in Vancouver, and we sent it to Mark and Alan right away and said, family resemblance, she should be in the family.
I love it.
And yeah.
You know who else would be great for that show? Mary Walsh, Miranda from
I'm
Doyle.
sure she will be in it at some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Steve, do you prefer drama or comedy?
I think I just like stuff that's really good. I think on stage, I usually end up playing more dramatic stuff. But I had a playing Hood who was not like he wasn't a kind of a comic character, but he was kind of there to poke fun at, and in Son of a Critch now, the second season especially, he's a little menacing in the first season, but in the second season there's some interesting things that happen to him, and some of them are quite funny, and some of them are not. But that doesn't really, I don't really kind of, as long as it's good and it's good people to work with, I don't think of myself as naturally funny. Not like Mark Critch. Mark Critch is hysterical. Johnny Harris, if you're familiar with Johnny Harris.
Oh yes, I love Johnny Harris.
Yeah. Like these guys are gifted.
Yeah. I put a clip on of just promoting how we were getting to this day. It's season 2, episode 1, and you're talking about the mayor, and it's the first time we meet the mayor, and you wanted to eat, like your character wants to eat a cream puff or something, and then you're like, okay, I can't, and then you're saying he's an ass mayor. Just the stuff that your character says was hilarious. And then at the end, you're all like, oh, he's great. And you tell Leslie, he's good. He's a good guy. Like you're lying through your teeth.
I like the one-day promotion for Hood, where you were Leslie's boss. I think it only lasted one day. And you're lording it over her. And then by the end of the episode, they're in the interrogation room, and you can see through the window, just again a throwaway, Hood is walking down the hall and trips and falls flat on his face. And then
that was something that ran through the show. I think I fell down 4 or 5 times in the series.
Yep. Now before you fell. Yep. Oh my gosh.
That episode where I got promoted, that was another one like the end of the season with Sean. It was supposed to be the other Sean. I think Victor Garber was in that episode.
Oh, he was great.
And I think that Sean Panting, Walter McLean, was supposed to have a larger presence in that episode. But when they called him up to ask him about his availability, he said, "I'm up in Gross Mourne with my family on vacation."
Oh gosh.
And I don't know if Sean knows this or not. I guess he did, because they asked him if he could come back, and he goes, I really can't. I got my 2 little kids here with me, and they said, all right, we'll figure something else out. And I think that's when they got the idea, because I only had 1 day in that episode, and then I got a message that I now all of a sudden had 4 or 5 days, and I'm like, what's going on? And then I read, oh, I got promoted. Oh no. Any cop who gets promoted in a movie or TV show ends up dead by the end of the episode.
I will say,
They're not going to kill you.
So when you're a recurring character, it's not like you're on call. Is it just
Not
they
really.
call for you and then see if you're available? How does that work?
They kind of reach out at the beginning of maybe a month before shooting and ask you, are you free this summer? Are you free this fall? Are there any times that you're going to be away or otherwise committed? And they kind of write that in, and then getting closer to when they finally kind of put the scripts together and ready to shoot, maybe a week or 2 beforehand, they'll check again and say, are you still available? And it's a strange thing. Like, if you're doing a theater show around here, maybe a year in advance what you're doing. But there are times that I did a movie with Jason Momoa here, and this was in December, and I wasn't supposed to shoot until January, and I woke up in the middle and it had time for 7:00. Well, I thought it was just to go down and try on some clothes, and I go down, I get on the truck, and I'm trying on clothes, and I'm doing a play at 6:00 that night, and then I find somebody hands me a call sheet, like, two scenes today. I didn't even think I was going for 6 weeks down the road. So it's kind of crazy how they put it together. I just happened to be free, and they got me up before I had to go to the theater, and it all worked out. But about 3:30 or 4:00 in the afternoon, I was starting to sweat that I wasn't gonna get to curtain.
Yeah. And you made it though, right?
Oh, I made it. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I wanted to share some of the stuff people are saying, because I've got, I'm like running around trying to get everybody to watch. Susan says, I'm addicted to this series. On my 4th time through all the seasons. And Mary says, she's talking to Jan in there, and she said, 2/7 for the 5th time through it. Oh. And Margie says, it's a great series. I'm going through it for the 3rd time. We're loving it.
I see. What are the TV productions? Son of a Critch, Republic of Doyle. I did 1 guest starring thing on Hudson and Rex. And there's another one that just started up here in Newfoundland Monday called Departure.
Oh,
I've heard of that.
That I'm
yes.
in as well. And
Yes, I have that in my notes.
What's that?
I said I have that in my notes. Tell us about it.
Right. I walked onto the trailer and down in Portugal, not Portugal Cove, Petty Harbor, and here's Eric McCormick, Will and Grace on the trailer, and I was like, "Holy smokes, this is a treat! This is a treat." Yeah, that was a fun show to work on. We did 3 or 4 days here, and then they flew me to Toronto to stand in front of a specific house. And when I got there, they said, "Isn't this a great house?" And I'm like, we have houses in Newfoundland. We could have done this back there. But this is the great house. So it was great to get a little trip up to Toronto in the middle of COVID to do that. That was fun. Somebody's asking me, no, it wasn't Aquaman. It's a movie called Braven. It's a fantastic throwback 80s kind of 80s kind of movie that like Wesley Snipes or Steven Seagal or Jean-Claude Van Damme would have made in the 80s. It's a fun show.
Cool. Jan says, how do you do two different programs, shows at one time? Ever get the lines confused?
No, because they probably shoot weeks or months apart, and I don't do a whole lot of. I had a lot more work to do on Republic of Doyle, but the stuff I'm doing now, it's sometimes weeks or months apart. It's the third season of Departure, Lois. The first one was the airplane, the second one was the train, and the third one is the ferry.
Which is, it's are we ever going to get to see it here in the States?
I think it played in the States last year.
Okay.
I according to IMDb, it premiered sometime in 2022 in the States. I'm not sure what streaming service had it.
Okay.
But it only started playing in Canada on Monday on Global TV.
Cool. Okay. We'll have to look.
Yeah.
I'll find it. This has been so nice. I'm glad you it's late by you, but you spent some time.
No, it's only 10:30.
Okay. It's not too late.
It's the shank of the evening.
We had
when they make the movies of Republic of Doyle, I think they ought to do a storyline where you hook up with Kathleen, Jake's sister. That will be such a storyline to drive Jake up the wall, and it would be hilarious.
That would, oh my gosh.
That would be a good storyline. And when we
or his ex-wife.
Well, that's true, but she's married. She's already married. Remember, and has a baby with the
David.
Yeah, with her
David.
attorney. Yeah,
this is crazy. Like every one of those people are like my best friends. John Panting, Aiden Flynn plays David, Hako, Critch. I mean, we hang out kind of frequently. It's a crazy little place that we live in.
That's okay. We love it. This is what, and everybody we talk to, like Stephanie, we're like, go back. You must tell Alan and everyone that we want the movie. You're going to make the movie. You must make a movie, at least one. But one of the things that I loved is that you all got together on Thursday nights and went to the Duke, didn't you, as a cast for a drink or dinner, whatever.
Yeah.
And we host our things on Thursday nights. And often Kathy puts the Duke behind her. She has this great drop that's behind her. And sometimes for the longest time, she's like, well, I'm still in St. John's, right? And she's talking to us and people.
I miss people take me seriously. Hey, I just checked. Departure is actually on Peacock.
Okay. All right.
That's the
so
one. That's the
Lois she's a big fan. She pops in and she loves St. John's. She's always telling us.
Roxanne and I are definitely going to go visit there.
We are. We definitely are.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We'll meet you at the Duke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone said that they went, I don't know if it was Lois or no, I saw a video, I think, in my research. Oh, I have to tell you a Perry story. Let me put that to the side so I don't forget before we say goodnight. But they went into the Duke, and when they were there, they went and turned around, and there was Alan. He was there having a drink, and he helped pass her drink to her, and she was like, like speechless, all excited, because she went in the height of when I guess the show was on, and she took like a tour and walked around and did all the, the good stuff. So it was good. Stephanie said it was great for St. John's, tourism. Like people were coming all the time to check it out because they were falling in love. I'm telling you, we love it. We talked about just how the main character, right, Kathy, we were saying is actually St. John's,
it absolutely
is. What is it considered? A city? A town? What's it considered?
City, yeah.
A city?
It's a city, yeah. I guess the population is about 200,000.
Oh, that's pretty big.
Yeah, that's nice though. Yeah.
It depends on how many of the towns right next to it you kind of count in that. Probably 150 in like the proper what people would say this is St. John's.
Right.
But the Avalon Peninsula area, the northern Avalon, yeah, I'm sure there's at least 200,000.
Yeah, pretty cool. So Stephanie had reached out to Perry and said she was coming on the podcast and talking about the possibility of the movies. And he wrote back, she read it to us, and I don't remember exactly word for word, but more or less, he says, we never have given up on revisiting the Doyle universe. It's always there. You know, we've never said
Yeah.
no. It's which is, I'm like, okay, that's promising. And I read his book. Did you read Perry's book, Closer by Sea?
No, I haven't. Not yet.
Well, I want you to read it. It's amazing. It's excellent.
Mhm.
I read it. It's meant for it. Not that it's meant for. They are trying to say it's like a middle reader, like a middle school type reader, and which
Right.
doesn't mean anything. I read everything. And after I read it, I bought like a set so I can do it with my students. I think they're going to love it. And when I
Awesome.
got to the end, I cried. Like I had to stop to get back to reread it because it was like it was a good cry. It wasn't a bad cry, but
Right.
he's a very talented writer. He's like amazing.
Yeah, he's a very funny guy. He wrote me my favorite line of all time. Hood. We really need to get such and such as records. Yeah, and I want bangs.
Yeah, I remember that.
Janice is asking, is St. John's somewhat of a summer vacation spot? We do get a lot of people here in the summer. One of the other things that I do is I'm one of the tour guides with the St. John's Haunted Hike. So we go downtown, we meet up with 40, 50 people at a time, go around and tell ghost stories downtown. And
they had that in one of the episodes, I think.
Yeah, that's my costume that she was wearing.
No, that's episode 1 in season 2. Yes.
Could be, yeah.
It is.
Now they shot that in the day, but we do the haunted hike at night. But yeah, we have about 40 or 50 people a night. So 200 people a week come just to see that. And very few of them are from town because it's been going on for 28 years now. So people from town have seen it. So it's really only tourists who are coming now to that.
That's cool.
So yeah, I think a lot of people do come, not just for St. John's, but also Bonavista, Trinity, the Northern Peninsula. You get to places like Twillingate at the right time, and there's whales and icebergs everywhere you look.
I love it. So Roxanne, you and I will go to St. John's and we'll just go start ringing doorbells because everybody in the cast, I think, lives there. So it's us. Hi.
Hi.
Until the police catch up with us, we'll just have a blast.
Every day on my Instagram account, I put something for Republic of Doyle, a clip or whatever. I do a public service announcement where I talk about whatever. Like I'm like, it's hot. And I always do it from my car. It's hot. You need to go inside, cool off, and watch Republic of Doyle. Or I say something like about, your loved one wants to hear your voice, give them a call, and then watch Republic of Doyle. Like I constantly, and then I got on TikTok just to put my public service announcements on.
Right.
So I want everyone to start watching, and they are watching, which is nice in my little neck of the world. It's not like I have millions of followers, but I'm like, I keep throwing it out there because I want people to watch. I'm on the Acorn TV fan page on Facebook. And the only reason why I'm allowed to even put these on is we can't talk about any other streaming system because it's for Acorn. And I got approval. I had to get approval from Acorn. And the good thing about it, though, is that you can watch it without any commercials. That's not the case with everyone else. And we've been watching and rewatching, and then I post stuff up, and it's been fun.
Roxanne, you're such a different generation because I come from the time when commercials actually served a purpose. So I really don't mind them. That's when I go get my snack or take a bio break or whatever. Yeah, they serve a purpose.
I had friends say to me, I don't think I'm watching it on the correct streaming. And we can't say, don't say what it was. And I said, why? Because there's so many commercials and it's giving me anxiety. And I'm like, Acorn, you got to go to Acorn TV app and you'll get it. Right. So, Steve, this has been so nice.
You have been so generous with your time and your stories. Yeah. And we want you back just to hear more about what you're up to with the Twitch show, and hopefully, God willing, someday to talk about, we're finally going to launch, a reunion movie. So we definitely want you back.
Yes. I want that to happen. I
That'd
don't
be awesome. And if you ever
it's not
get here, give me a shout.
Oh, we will. We
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jan's over here. Jan, this is Jan. We always talk about going somewhere. So Jan says, so Jan, let me tell you quickly. I'm from Jersey, and Jersey has a south, and central, and a north, and she's more like central. And she started following me, and we became friends in real life. And we always want to go on trips, but she's always afraid to leave her dogs. But she's like, I'm gonna have to break my rule of leaving my dog so we can go
Right.
and come visit. They're telling you thank you. Christina's on here and she's saying thank you.
Oh my gosh,
You're
that's
so
so fantastic.
wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Mary. They're all so excited that you're here. Oh, all right. Well, we could say goodnight and then we'll say goodnight behind the scenes in the studio.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. I'll see you
Take
next
care, folks.
Go watch Republic of Doyle.